Welcome to the Saturday Slam and Jam here on the Athletic NBA Daily. On today's show, we're talking about the most improved player, our players of the week, and Mike Smeltz joins the show to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. Before we get to Al's top stories of the week, we're going to direct you guys to our quick survey about your podcasting habits. Go to theathletic.com/athletic/survey25. Again, 3 lucky entries will get $100 to Amazon on a voucher. So you should go do that. If you're a longtime listener or even a new one, we'd love to hear from you, from all the slammers, all the jammers. Again, go to theathletic.com/athletic/survey25. That's theathletic.com/athletic/survey25. Again, if you want this to be a review for Slam and Jam specifically, you need to leave it for the Athletic NBA Daily. So please go do that. We would very much appreciate that. With me today, my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, tell me about the top stories this week.
Well, Andrew, the top story this week was the race to the finish line in the Western Conference, with the 4th seed through 8th seed only separated by 2 games. First, it was a big week for the Wolves. The Wolves won all 4 of their games this week and did so loudly. In a win over the Pistons, we got a big old dust-up in only the second quarter. This started between Naz Reid and rookie Ron Holland. Confrontation between Reid and Holland quickly grew as Dante DiVincenzo, Beef Stew got into the mix, and the mass of players and coaches went into the first row under the basket. In the end, 5 players and 2 coaches were ejected from the game. 4 players I mentioned, plus Marcus Sasser, were suspended a game, though Beef Stew got an extra one for his history of on-court beef. And in their very next game, the Wolves were involved in one of the more memorable games of the year, a double overtime win over the Nuggets in Denver, their 6th straight win over Denver going back to last year's playoffs. For the Wolves, it was Anthony Edwards, who scored 24 of his 34 in the 4th quarter in overtime, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who scored 26, including 5 3-pointers and the game-winning free throws after Russell Westbrook fouled his 3-point attempt as time expired in the second overtime. Now, for the Nuggets, it was already a tough loss, but it was made even tougher because Nikola Jokic had one of his best games ever, putting up 61 points, which is a career high for Jokic, and the most points scored by any player this season. He also had his customary 10 rebounds, 10 assists, making it the first ever 60-point triple-double. And to add insult to injury, the Wolves game was the first night of a back-to-back for Denver. They had to play the Spurs the next night, and because Jokic had played 53 minutes, head coach Michael Malone opted to rest him, leading to a second straight loss. The Nuggets remain 3rd in the West, however, but just a half game up on the Lakers, while the Timberwolves have the same record as the Grizzlies, who are currently in 6th. Those 2 teams will meet next Thursday in a game that could decide the final guaranteed playoff spot. Elsewhere in the West, the Golden State Warriors continued their charge up the standings, also winning all 4 of their games this week, including 2 crucial ones over the Grizzlies and the Lakers. In the win against the Grizzlies, Steph had 52, 10, and 8, including 12 3-pointers. It was Steph's 4th career game with 12-plus 3-pointers. He and Klay are the only players in NBA history who have done that more than once. Jimmy Butler scored 27 in the game, which was his highest as a Warrior, and Draymond had a 13, 10, and 12 triple-double. Now, in the win against the Lakers, Steph was good again, 37, but it was Brandon Podziemski who was the X-factor, scoring 28, including a career-high 8 3-pointers. In the 20 games Brandon Podziemski has played since the Jimmy Butler trade, Pods is averaging 14, 6, and 3, while shooting 41% from three-point land. The Warriors have moved all the way up to the 5th spot, only a game back of the Lakers and a game and a half back of Denver. And by the time you hear this, Golden State will have had a huge matchup versus Denver on Friday night. Now at the top of the West, OKC's winning streak continued, stretching to 11 straight wins after winning all 4 of their games by an average margin of 21.5 this week. The Thunder are now 64-12, 14.5 games up on the 2nd seed Rockets, who the Thunder play on Friday night. This week, we'll also see the Thunder play the Lakers twice in 3 days, 2 juicy matchups that could preview a future playoff matchup, but are also critically important for the Lakers' final seeding. In the East, the Cavs crossed the 60-win mark with back-to-back impressive wins over the Clippers and Knicks. This is the first time in franchise history the Cavs have won 60 games without LeBron James on the team. And at 61-15, the Cavs have a chance to set the franchise record for wins at 67 if they win their final 6 games. Now, the Bucks, who had their first full week without Damian Lillard, they got 2 needed wins after a 4-game losing streak. Combined with the Pistons' losses to Minnesota and OKC, the Bucks have jumped back ahead of the Pistons as of Friday morning in the standings for the time being. But something to look ahead to is the final 2 games of the season, when the Bucks and Pistons play twice in 3 days. Now, at the bottom of the standings, the Sixers announced this week that Tyrese Maxey would be out for the rest of the season. Not too concerning, but more importantly, it was announced that Joel Embiid will undergo arthroscopic surgery on his left knee that's been bothering him all season, and he'll be reevaluated in 6 weeks. Finally, Andrew, it was announced this week that Carmelo Anthony will be elected into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Carmelo won an NCAA championship as a freshman at Syracuse. He won 3 consecutive gold medals as a member of the Olympics team and had a decorated NBA career, making 10 All-Star games, 6 All-NBA teams, and making the NBA's 75th anniversary team. In his best individual season, the 2012-13 season with the Knicks, Melo averaged 29-7 for a 54-win Knicks team, finishing 3rd in MVP voting. He also led a 54-win Nuggets team to the Western Conference Finals in 08-09. He'll be remembered as a lethal scorer, averaging over 20 points per game for the first 15 seasons of his career. He holds the franchise record for most points in a game by a Knick and finishes his career with over 28,000 points, 12th on the all-time list. Congrats to Melo, and those were the top stories this week.
Congrats to Melo. Also, easily the coolest person I've ever been in the room with.
We love Melo.
He commands a room. He's amazing.
It didn't even go well in OKC. And
it didn't even go well.
It
didn't go well, but everybody thinks he's very cool. Let's go to our BetMGM line of the week, brought to you by BetMGM. Now, this week, we're going to talk about the most improved player. And when asked about the most improved player award, Lakers head coach JJ Redick and podcaster said, just call it the high draft pick that's on a max contract and now is an all-star. Just call it that. Whoever's that guy, because that's what it has become. So you take a look here, and a lot of it, I think he's probably referring to Cade Cunningham in this, who now is second in odds to Dyson Daniels. Is this because of a certain podcast that happened this week? Christian Brown's got like a long shot at like plus 12,500. Same with Zubats and Evan Mobley, Tyler Hero. But you have thoughts on most improved?
Oh, I think JJ should be happy. I mean, Dyson Daniels, Christian Brown as 2 of the top 3. I mean, those are the types of guys he's talking about. Zubats, yeah. But also, like, I think he was being asked this in reference to Austin Reeves, who does not appear on this list, but probably, that's a perfectly good candidate as well. I get what he's saying. I do think it's been like that traditionally, like when Ja won.
Yeah, Ja. Well, the last 2 winners, though, are Tyrese Maxey and Markkanen, who do not fit that description.
Yeah, I think those. Well, Markkanen now, technically, he was a high draft pick and is on a max contract now. But at that time.
Yeah, at the time he wasn't.
But yeah, I think if Dyson Daniels win, who's the favorite right now, I think that's a great story. Like that is the perfect representation of a most improved player in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be happy.
Yeah, there's some guys that fit that description, but like you also have like CJ McCollum in there, and you have Jimmy Butler in here, and Goran Dragic, and once upon a time Ryan Anderson won the award, and Aaron Brooks won the award. So
those are some good ones.
Like those are some good candidates, and I hope Dyson gets it. He deserves recognition somehow, and I'm sure like a lot of people so he'll be put on the all defense team. Like no one cares that much about the all defense team. Like give him one of the major awards. He's been one of the stories of the season. So, yeah, I think I agree with that.
Andrew. Now it's time to move on to our favorites, starting with our favorite quote this week. And my favorite quote this week came from Hawks in-game host Shamia Morton during a timeout break. 2 Hawks fans were playing tic-tac-toe, the game where for each layup you make, you get to put down an X or an O in the middle of the court. The game started, and before one of our participants, James, could even attempt his first layup, he slipped on the court and appeared to suffer a major knee injury. While this was happening, James's opponent continued playing the game while the Hawks in-game host, Shamia Morton, became increasingly concerned for James. James, oh no, let's make sure my guy is good. And then when the other participant officially won, she said, can you just be kind and come over here with me and check on James? Now, some people out there, they were questioning the sportsmanship of the other participant who continued playing the game. But if you watch the replay, Andrew, to his credit, he did briefly pause before laying down the final winning marker. It did look like he might not have continued the game if not for one Harry the Hawk. Yes, that's right. The Hawks mascot, if you watch it back, he was standing at midcourt. He's the one that motioned the fan to go ahead and win the thing. So if you have beef with the winning fan for not being appropriately concerned about James, direct that toward Harry the Hawk. The good news out of all this is the Hawks did provide an update to TMZ saying that James, the injured season ticket holder, is in good spirits. He expects a full recovery. That's about as bad a night as you can have attending an NBA game. And I hope the Hawks get him something nice, maybe like a signed team basketball or jersey or something. But we're all thinking about you, James, especially Andrew, who has a recent experience messing up his knee while playing a child's game.
Yep.
Hopefully, when he's fully recovered, James will be able to enjoy that video with his family because there admittedly are some funny parts, none more so than Shamia Morton's commentary as she tried to figure out how to handle that situation.
Oh, no, James. Yeah, I definitely feel for James. It's awful. The recovery from, if it is ACL, it's awful. My quote, I have a couple quotes. These will be pretty quick. One from Jared Allen. He had this fast break dunk late in the fourth quarter against the Knicks the other night. He was all alone. He kind of brought it back really far, and it was cool. And somebody asked him about it. Like, it looked really cool for a big man, honestly. And he said, and this just, if you haven't seen Jared Allen a lot, he's just so genuine and just such a big dork. And he was like, he said this about the dunk. I wanted to look like LeBron trying to bring it back. He said, I looked at the replay and it was nothing close to that. And he's cracking up the whole time. It's just a joy. Like, he's had such a great season. And then Anthony Edwards, after that crazy Jokic game, and Ant was in good spirits because they just won this game. He said, that might be the best game. That might be the best game of my life that I've been a part of. Nikola Jokic, bruh. My God. He might be the best basketball player I've ever seen close up besides myself to myself, that is an all-time quote. That is an all-time, not even just Ant quote, but an all-time NBA quote. Myself to myself is so good. So I love both those.
Those are good ones, Andrew. That brings us to our favorite stat. And my favorite stat this week is actually about our Wheel of Fandom team, the Brooklyn Nets, because I was spending some time on the Nets Daily blog.
More Nets content for all you Nets heads.
Yeah, you're getting your fill for the year this week. I saw a stat that I just thought perfectly summed up this weird season for the Nets, where they trade for their own picks back, and then they're unable to lose as many games as some fans might have hoped for. So while the 2 wins this week pushed the Nets firmly into that 6th spot in the reverse standings, it's really hard to blame those wins when they come against the Mavs and the Wizards. One team's really struggling, one team's just really bad. But if you're a Nets fan feeling disappointed in their current lottery position and want to get mad at something, look no further than this stat from Colin Helwig on Nets Daily. The Brooklyn Nets are currently 8-7 on the road against Western Conference teams this season. Above 500 on the road against the Western Conference. The only other teams in the East who can say that are Boston, Cleveland, Detroit, and Indiana.
That just doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense.
It's incredible. And I know some of that came at the beginning of the season, when they were a little bit more of a complete team.
When they had Ben Simmons, you guys. When they had Ben Simmons.
They did have Ben Simmons. But still, above 500 on the road against the West for a team that's going to finish with the 6th worst record is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that just, I can't even wrap my head around that. My stat is this. Isaiah Hartenstein for the Thunder. He's taken 19 threes. He's made none of them all season. And now I'm at the point where I need him to miss 4 more. Because if he does, we talk about all these Thunder records this season. He will have the record for the most missed threes in a season without a make, which is currently held by Tom Garrick, who is a Chicago Bull of the early 90s. And he was a guard, by the way. Oh, wow. You know who else is a guard who missed every 3 they took? Was Magic Johnson. He was 0 of 21 one season. I've become kind of obsessed with this stat, and it's one that I just continue to just be amazed at. There's been a lot of Thunder home games, and all I can hope for at some of these games is to just see another clanked 3 from Isaiah Hartenstein. So keep firing away, Isaiah. Keep missing them. You're almost there.
That's a great one because I did not know that as a Thunder fan, and I am also now very excited for it. Man, Tom Garrick, I'm looking at his Basketball Reference. Rookie year, 0-13. Then he has 4 for 21 on fire.
Wow,
in
what
his
a
second
year.
season.
What a year.
And then he had his 0 for 22 season. And never really went well after that. So yeah, maybe Hartenstein could get on that list. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next up, favorite player. My favorite player this week, Deni Avdija. I've always been a fan of Deni when he was with the Wizards. When Portland traded 2 first-round picks for him last summer, I was expecting big things, Andrew, because the Blazers needed another playmaker. Deni brought that while also just being a really good all-around player. But then his season just did not start off great. Through his first month, Deni's shooting splits were 37, 26, 79, and he was barely averaging 10 points per game. But things started to gradually improve. He's talked about it. He just got more comfortable. He was worried about fitting in when he first got to Portland, being on a new team with some established players. But he's eventually gotten more comfortable. And over the past couple of months, I would say he has clearly been the Blazers' best player. In 19 games post All-Star break, he's averaging 22.5 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 5.2 assists while shooting 51, 43, 78. Those are massive numbers. And Deni had his best week of the season this week. In 3 games, he put up 30 and 12 with almost 7 assists per game. He had 32, 15, and 10 against the Hawks. And his contract, which is going to pay him under $12 million in the 27-28 season, was always going to look good. But with his recent play, it's looking like one of the best contracts in the league. And I think it's important to point out that as Deni has improved over the season, so have the Blazers. This is not, in my opinion, a good stats, bad team situation. He's been a major factor with them turning their season around because in their first 41 games, they were 13 and 28. And since then, they are 21 and 15. They have the 10th best net rating in the league. They've become a legitimately good defensive team. And that combo of Deni and Toumani Camara is a big part of that. Now, they're not going to make the play-in most likely unless a couple of these teams really collapse. So this season may end up feeling a little disappointing for some Blazers fans since they're not going to make the play-in. They're also not going to get an amazing pick. But I do think it's important that they clearly have an identity now, which a lot of teams at this stage don't have. And they have a player in Deni Avdija who, as the Blazers continue to improve, is going to get a lot more attention.
Yeah, Deni's been great. He controls a lot of their offense too, like down the stretch of games. He's been amazing this year.
He's huge. He's one of those guys that's bigger in person than you realize.
Yeah, he's had a great year. Mine is Giannis. He had a 35, 15, 20 game against the Sixers, which is insane. It's the first game in NBA history with at least 35, 15, and 20. So I wanted to dig through the 35, 15, 20 stat and just talk through it a little bit. So there's been 20 games of a player with at least 30 points and 20 assists. And that's Oscar Robertson, Tiny Archibald, Kevin Johnson, Westbrook, Magic, Luka, Trae Young, Kuzi, Jokic, Kevin Porter, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. And it's only been done 6 times with a player who has a 30-point, 20 assists, 10 rebound triple-double. And that's Giannis, Westbrook, Magic, Oscar, Luka, and Jokic, which is just wild. Like that. And what's crazy about that list to me is that 4 out of the 6 players on that list are active players. Yeah. And when I looked at the Westbrook one, you think, it probably happened during his MVP year is kind of what I thought would happen. No, it happened in 21 when he was with the Wizards. So all of these have happened very recently. So yeah, Giannis has had a great year. He did have 17 rebounds, but part of like the thing the NBA released was that he had 15, the first 35, 15, 20 game. I think Giannis in any normal NBA year would probably be the MVP candidate, but he just seems stuck behind Shea and Jokic, but he's had such an amazing season and it probably doesn't get recognized. And I know some of it's like the Bucks have struggled here and there, but when you look at their roster, what he has done individually and what he's done with this team is pretty spectacular. And this stat line against not a great team in the Sixers, but just the fact that he was able to put those numbers up still just shows like what a dominant player he still is.
Yeah, and that 4 out of 6 stat, I really think like the number of guys who are triple double threats on like a night to night basis really just shows how much more skilled the league is now. There's so many more of those guys who can just do it night to night. Andrew, that brings us to our favorite moment. And my favorite moment this week was the Ja Morant game winner against the Heat on Thursday night. Huge step back shot in the paint against Khalil Ware. Bounced around the rim for a few seconds before falling. Now, coming off last week, things were feeling pretty bleak for the Grizz. They fired their coach. They'd lost a bunch of games. A lot of the attention was focused on Ja, who has had a disappointing season, and it wasn't looking like things were getting any better this week. They built a 4-game losing streak, which in their defense was about as tough as a 4-game stretch can be. Thunder, Lakers, Celtics, Warriors. During the Warriors game, there was the finger guns controversy when Ja pointed at the Warriors bench. I think he was fined $75K for that. So with all that drama of the past few weeks, I was just happy for Grizzlies fans seeing Ja get that game winner. And while we didn't get to see any Ja during our Wheel of Fandom week, he was back in full force this week. He was great. He averaged right around 29, 6, and 6 on good efficiency during that brutal stretch of opponents. The only bad news for the Grizz is the schedule doesn't totally lighten up. They've still got games against Detroit, Minnesota, and Denver in their final 5. And that Minnesota game is going to be huge, as I mentioned, because those two teams are currently tied in the standings, and the Wolves are on a 4-game winning streak. So it doesn't get easier for the Grizz, but at least for one night, Grizzlies fans got some relief.
Yeah, it is good to see Ja back too, because I think it's looking like they're going to fall into the play-in. And if you have a play-in game with Ja against Kawhi is what it looks like it's winding up to be. I mean, that would be incredible, incredible theater. Al, my moment, and I can't stop thinking about it, is I talked about it a little earlier, so did you, about the end of this Nuggets-Wolves game where Westbrook needlessly goes for a layup where he could have just dribbled the ball out, gotten fouled, played that whole game, and won the basketball game. Instead, he got a little greedy, went in, missed the layup, and then obviously commits the foul on the other end. And just like the whole thing happening after that is just so wild. Like the cameramen were doing their jobs that night. They were doing such a good job. They got Peyton Watson, who just immediately just hands over his face, and you can just watch him just, and it's the whole screen is his face as he just like lowers his hands over his face. He's just so distraught. They got Westbrook's face just completely zoomed in on for what seemed like forever, because they went and they actually looked at the foul. And then you have this fan screaming after they get the results of the foul, yelling, "The fix is in!" He just yells it over and over again. Incredible theater. And it's just kind of wild to me about that it was Westbrook when you think about his MVP moment in Denver. It happened in Denver in 2017 on April 9th. So just 8 years and 6 days later, he is still helping the Thunder get an MVP while playing in Denver.
Yeah, you know, the thing, and this is why I brought up Westbrook last week as an X factor, because, you know, as we know, having watched him for so long, like nothing he does is quiet. Everything is loud. The good stuff is super loud. The bad stuff is super loud. And like watching that game and seeing how it played out, like it couldn't have been any other player than Westbrook. Like that's just how things happen. And it had to be that loud. It had to be at the end of the game. That was just brutal for Jokic to have that game and for it to end like that, end to end on free throws. I was watching that game with my uncle. We were having a great time, and for it to end just like on these 2 free throws, he misses the last one. It was kind of a bummer of an ending, but it was an amazing game.
Yeah. Speaking of bummer, we're going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets and their year right after this quick break.
All right, Andrew, it is time for the Wheel of Fandom, the weekly segment where we spin a wheel, it lands on a team, and we become fans of that team for the next week. Now, last week, the wheel landed on the Brooklyn Nets. And if you've been following the Wheel of Fandom this season, you know that the vast majority of teams have had a very bad week when the wheel lands on them. So what would happen when the wheel landed on a team that needed to lose to maintain their draft position? Well, they'd go on a 2-game winning streak, of course. The Nets went 2-2 this week, losing to the Clippers and Wolves, but beating the Mavs and Wizards. They are now 25-52 and appear likely headed for the 6th best odds in the upcoming draft lottery. Per Cleaning the Glass, the Nets have the 28th ranked offense and 24th ranked defense. Andrew, if the Nets are our favorite team, who is our guest?
It's our pal Mike Smeltz from SB Nation, and the only Nets fan that I know, and a guy that I wish was still hosting the Glue Guys. I'd listen. I would listen. But Mike, what's up?
I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to send this to the Glue Guys listeners because, if anyone knows, I had a podcast for 10 years about the Brooklyn Nets. A lot of lows, very, very few highs.
A lot of lows.
We covered vaccine mandates and anti-Semitic posting and all this other stuff. But and my buddy Brian and I, who I co-host, my best friend in the world, we just looked at each other virtually and we were just like, we can't do this anymore. We can't subject. He had a kid and I now have a third child, and it was like, I can't. Like when you do you guys know this, I can't imagine how much basketball you guys watch. You just like do the math. You're like, I can't do it. And you can't do the pod unless if you're like locked in, right?
You gotta be in it.
You gotta know, you have to have your Noah Clowney takes ready to go on a weekly basis. And so I'm happy to do this because I have like a squirrel in the winter. I have a chestnut full of takes about the Nets. So this is it. I'm so glad to be here.
It's great. So it's been a pretty unique year for the Nets.
Yes.
It's the first time that they've been bad and haven't traded away their draft picks since 2010. What's it been like watching this team this season?
It's such a, I don't know if it's not Stockholm syndrome, but you are trapped in this internal battle between really loving Jordi Fernandez, the coaching, like the moxie of the squad, winning more games than they should, even though they've only won, 25 games this year, and being very locked in on that front, and then also being pretty furious every time they win a game. Because
we've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's a bad feeling. It's a bad way to live. It's not fun. But this is like the situation they put themselves in willingly. They made that trade to get rid of the Suns draft picks to get their own draft picks back. It's kind of, I mean this lightly, but it's kind of been the worst case scenario where the Suns have had the worst possible out of like the 100,000 simulations. This is the worst Suns year possible, pretty much. And the Nets having their pick, even though they're the sixth best odds, this is like the best season they could have possibly have had, even as they're trying to like actively tank and do all the things that they're doing. But again, like it's been enjoyable. Like this team has those early Kenny Atkinson coach Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris type vibes. And it is way more fun to watch this team than it was the end of the KD Kyrie era, because like that was just so negative and the expectations were so high. This team, the expectations are like lower than the basement, right? It's like Minecraft. You're digging. I don't know if you guys play. My 6-year-old now plays Minecraft. Schlecht,
I know
I'm
Minecraft.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I know Minecraft.
You're digging into like the molten lava level.
Yeah,
that's how low the Nets expectations were. And like it's kind of fun when Zaire Williams like pops off, or Keon Johnson, or Noah Clowney makes 1 out of 8 threes. And so it's exciting. But it's also the worst. And it's good and it's bad. And it's just like, God, it's such a mind mess. Fellas.
Yeah, I was on the Nets subreddit, and it's fun reading Nets fans' comments as they like try to cope with this. I saw one argument that was like, yes, the Suns pick is 12, might be around 12 this year. Ours is 6. If you wanted to trade up from 12 to 6, that would cost you an extra first. So that kind of accounts for one of the firsts that we traded away. So I don't know if that helps you at all. That was one I saw.
There is there's like a lot of bad math happening. What you described is not bad math. That was good math. There's bad math happening within the Nets fan base. Like people are very angry that they're not the 5th spot in the odds over the Sixers, that they're the 6th. Well, you guys know this. The lottery odds difference between 5 and 6 is minuscule. It's 1.5% to get the top pick, advantage to the Sixers in the 5th spot. it's basically 5% chance better to be in the top 4 if you're the 5th spot or the 6th spot. So it's like the way they flattened it, it's really not as impactful as people are like really upset about it. It's just that like, yeah, this is the worst. This is the worst possible Suns season. And as good as the Nets probably could have been this year. And you kind of think about that other scenario where you have those Suns picks, you hold that team hostage. It would be great to hold Matt Ishbia hostage. Like, how much fun would that be? So that's kind of like, that's a little bit of the stinging thing. But I still look at this as like the Nets are going to have 4 first-round picks this year.
Yeah.
And just an insane amount of salary cap space. That's a better position than like, just whatever morass that they were in for the past few years.
So in a rebuilding year like this, the hope is that you find some diamond in the rough, a player that you weren't thinking about at the start of the season, who you now see as a future rotation player. Oh, he's going to be a part of the next good Nets team. Are there any players like that for you, or like an encouraging developmental story?
Nope. Okay. That's the negative
Next
of the
question.
team. I really want to stress this to people. They are Noah Clowney, okay, their first round pick from, I guess, 2 years ago. He is, I've heard, I think it was Ryan Russillo talk about this, where the development now that they have in the NBA of like young players that they make shoot threes that shouldn't be shooting threes. Noah Clowney is the poster boy for that. They are making him shoot like 5 threes a game. I know that's not actually his per game 3-point, but like there are many games where he goes 1 for 6. He is the worst shooter in the NBA. Now he has a good like free throw percentage, which is why they're like, go shoot threes. He's a 6'9" athletic forward who was more of a post player in college, and that they're trying to become as a secondary post defender, with the block, and then come shoot threes on the other end of the floor. The vision's there. He's just not he's not good. Dariq Whitehead, their other first-round pick, not good. He scored 17 points last night. Best game of his life as a net, but he's been a complete non-factor. Keon Johnson, Trendon Watford. There's just not... That's the problem. There isn't that young, exciting guy at all on this team. We signed Drew Timmy.
That's cool.
Dude was like Jokic of the G League. And I think that's our most promising young player already, even though he's probably like 25, I think. Isn't he like old? Because he was in college.
He's 24. He's 24.
Okay, apologies. He's 24 years old. So like there just isn't. That's the problem. They're really starting from scratch going into this offseason where they have all the draft picks. They have their own draft pick, as you said, since 2010. They have all the free agency cap space. It's like, they really need a lot to rebuild the roster. The thing is, they do have like some weird veterans, right? They still have Cam Johnson. Yeah. They still have Nick Claxton. So it's not like this team is starting from zero in terms of players. Just from young players, they just don't have a dude at all.
Mm-hmm. So interestingly enough, Brian Lewis of the New York Post reported this week that Giannis is still Plan A for the Nets. Yeah. The Nets have a ton of cap space this summer, 4 first-round picks in the upcoming draft, and control of all their picks moving forward. Are you expecting moves this summer to make this team better immediately, or what would you want to see as a Nets fan?
The Nets hold the Bucks pick hostage this year. Just easy trade. Giannis for their own first-round pick back.
That's all they need back is the 18th pick in the draft.
We hold the Bucks hostage. I think the only way they do something big is if they get Cooper Flagg. Because I do think if they get Cooper Flagg, then it'll be, we're going to just boom, 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 make moves. Josiah's going to have a desire to like amplify that and put good players around him and immediately make this team interesting, which would be exciting. But who's Giannis going to play with on this team? Like, what are they trading? Are they trading like all the Knicks picks, all of their own picks? And then like you get Giannis and then you have more cap space to sign. I mean, who's a good free agent? Do you guys know? Like who's an exciting free agent this year? Isn't like most of them are off the board. De'Aaron Fox did he sign his extension? Like that's the thing. I haven't even looked at it because I'm going like hoops hype free agents right now. Like it's just not that good of a class.
Yeah.
So again, I think the only way that something big happens is if they get Cooper Flag. If not, then it's like, we're going to suck next year. We're going to continue to build a young team. And then we'll do the whole, like, we'll trade all the Knicks picks for a guy at some point. The discontented superstar that comes around the corner.
Could bring Brooke Lopez back. Does that excite you?
God,
does that do anything?
If they bring Brooke back, they need to sign Joe Johnson again and bring back Joe Johnson.
Agreed.
You know who could be a free agent, Mike? Kyrie Irving. He'd have the return.
Yeah, he would be welcome back with open arms. I did say, my buddy Brian does not feel this way. I have made my peace with Kyrie. Like, I felt he has like gone to Dallas and like been a positive force and not like he was really bad. I think like obviously we all fascinate on the vaccines and then the anti-Semitic videos, but he was like actively damaging the team, and I don't want him back in Brooklyn. Though there is a segment of the fan base that would definitely be like so fired up if we came back. Yeah, because there's like psychos that came in, not in a derogatory way, like just like the Kyrie fans became. Brian and I talked about this a lot. It was like, so when we pre-Kyrie, pre-KD, we were like, this like your favorite punk rock band before they hit it big on the charts, right? Like that was the fan base. It was like a small, intimate. You knew everyone. Everyone had the same mentality. And then Kyrie, KD come, and it's like one of the punk rock band members started dating a Kardashian, and then one of them dated Taylor Swift, and then like those fan bases merged on top of this like tiny little fun club that we had that we didn't want the attention. And then some of them have lingered to care about the team on some level, and it's just like it's still a clash of personality in the fan base. It's been a wild ride in understanding like NBA fandom to be a Nets fan over these past 10 years or so, for sure.
Now, Mike, you had a little trouble coming up with a diamond in the rough, but or some anything to get excited about. It sounded like
a turd in the grass. That's what we got. We have turds in the grass. Yes.
People seem very hyped on Nets head coach Jordi Fernandez.
Hell yeah.
Very popular.
Hell yeah.
Now, 6 years ago, Chris Mannix tweeted, "You are the GM of an expansion team. You have your choice of any NBA player or Brad Stevens. Who do you choose?" And at that time, 34.2% of voters picked Brad Stevens over any NBA player. So now the Nets are the ones with the exciting young coach and Jordi Fernandez. I'm going to give you names from some NBA players. You're going to tell me whether you choose that player or you take Jordi Fernandez. You can only have one, okay? And in the case of you choosing a player, you don't know who the coach is going to be. It could be anyone. It could be. Was there a movie? Was Air Bud ever a coach in any of his spinoff movies?
Did he go into coaching?
Absolutely.
When he tore his ACL?
Had to be.
Yeah, that would be a really boring Air Bud movie. Him just like drawing up.
I was laughing too much. So it's any coach in the NBA versus a player, or just Jordi versus a player?
No, just Jordi. We're talking Jordi or this player. You don't know who the coach would be if you take the player. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Herb Jones or Jordi Fernandez?
I may be bad at this game because I love Herb Jones.
I was gonna say, you're like really thinking.
Yeah. Well, I'll go Jordi. I just love. He's the problem. He's the anti-hero Taylor Swift. I'm the problem. Yes. It's me. He's the reason why we can't tank. Like, we really should have kept Jacques Vaughn. Like, he would have tanked. He would have been so good at tanking. Okay, yeah. But so Jordi, for the sake of the bit, Jordi for sure.
But I would say, Thunder fans had the same thing where Mark Daigneault was like so obviously good in that early tank year, where it was like, hey, we're winning too many games. Like, what's this guy doing? But at the same time, you got to feel good because down the road, like, you've got a good guy. It seems like
he's a guy, again, like Kenny, who like he's going to raise, like, it's funny. I'm going to ask you guys something. I don't know how much you talk jazz on the show. Is Will Hardy still in that class?
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I feel like their goal over the last 3 years is like, what do we have to do to make it not look like Will Hardy's a good coach? Because it's so hard. We have to keep taking away players.
Yeah.
We have to rest random guys on random nights. What can we do to really screw up Will Hardy? They finally figured it out. I mean, they have the best odds right now.
So gross.
Took them 3 years.
One of my favorite Bill Simmons bits was him being so pissed that Danny Ainge stole Will Hardy off of the Celtics bench. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
It was Danny Ainge sat courtside like a Celtics game and like saw how good Will Hardy was. And I'm like, he's fine. He's not. But that, it was one of my favorite things I've ever heard. Yes. Okay.
Wow.
More players.
Okay. So I'm just saying, it sounds like you would have taken Herb Jones over Will Hardy. Basically.
Yeah. I think Will Hardy's a fraud. I'll say it. I think he's a fraud.
Next one, Jalen Green or Jordi Fernandez.
Oh, Jalen. So Jalen Green, I mean, I know people don't like him, but you would rather have.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think
I didn't know how into Jordi Fernandez you were going to be.
It's more of my stance against like all NBA coaches, which is like there are other Jordi Fernandez out there.
Wow. Yeah.
That's kind of like, like JJ Redick was a podcaster and is like an awesome NBA coach. Kenny Atkinson was on. Obviously, he got offered jobs. He almost took the Hornets job. He had it for like 24 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's an awesome coach. JB Bickerstaff. I think that actually we may be in the golden era of NBA coaches right now. And
possibly.
And I would rather long-term future have a good player that maybe I can flip for something else down the road than like a really good coach. Because Taylor Jenkins gets fired. God, someone's going to get Taylor Jenkins for nothing. Yeah. And I think if you did this with a Grizz fan last year, people would be like, oh, there's nothing that I would part for to give up Taylor Jenkins, and he's going to be available and get a big contract from Matt Ishbia this offseason. So,
wow, Mike, you're coming across as very smart and sane with your answer to this question. I didn't even get to my final one, which was going to be
bit way too quickly. You get Jalen Green. You don't know what other offers are about to be on the table. But just take Jalen Green.
Would you rather have Jordi Fernandez or Jalen Green and Taylor Jenkins, right? I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I love Jordi Fernandez. He's great. He did injure Ant Edwards No. Did you see that?
He did.
He had an amazing response, though. Did you see what he said? He said, I really tried to get out of the way, and I have to be faster because the player's health is the most important thing. And that is that mindset. That's my favorite thing about Jordi is that he has that modern mindset for a coach. I mean, he's only however old he is, he's that artful way to kind of talk about a superstar and be like, I gotta get out of the way. The player's health is the most important thing. That's not how Lionel Hollins talked. Right. So I do appreciate that mindset. And I do think that has a huge impact on how players feel. I will say the Nets are probably the best vibes tanking team in a very long time, right? They just have good vibes. Even Cam Johnson's still seemingly happy to be a Net, as his name was in trade rumors for 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love Jordi, but yeah, players.
Wow. Well,
I'm a Jim and Joe's guys, not X's and O's. Okay.
Just so the listeners know, I had 8 more of those to do. I was trying to ramp
say the
up.
Names. Say the names.
Well, I actually was doing all players from 2022 draft. So Jalen Suggs, Alperen Şengün, Trey Murphy, Franz Wagner, Evan Mobley. And then I was going to finish on Cade Cunningham. I thought we might get all the way there.
You're ridiculous.
Well, I didn't know. I thought Nets fans were. I would rip off my
arm for Trey Murphy on the Nets. I would rip my arm off. So I would give up Jordi Fernandez.
I like Trey Murphy, but really?
Do you know how bad the Nets young players are? So bad.
Just so you know, I'm coming from a point where 34% of people 6 years ago would have taken Brad Stevens over Giannis.
Dummies. A bunch of dummies out there.
I guess
Brad
I thought
Stevens
you were going to be a dummy.
Was a fine coach. He was a fine. He's a better GM.
Okay, so all eyes turn to the lottery and the upcoming draft.
Oh yeah.
Are there any prospects outside of Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper that get you excited, or are there any prospects that like really scare you?
I mean, Noah Asengwe, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
The 6'9", super skinny French kid who's playing in Germany right now.
Yeah.
Like you see his highlights, and I know it's like the highlight trap, but he is like driving. He's doing dunks from like 8 feet out. Like he does the thing that you love from an athleticism standpoint, where he can do the spin move around a player and immediately jump and do like a distance dunk. That is, to me, is like what I need to see from athleticism. He's like kind of like late lottery. At this point, the Nets have the 18th pick. I don't know if I'm saying he's like 6 pick worthy. I think he's going to fly up the boards because that athleticism is just so tantalizing. And he's like a decent free throw shooter, not a good in-game shooter at this point. He's basically a dunker, but he's a 73% from the line. So we have to clarify that. Con Knipple. Love Con Knipple. Oh my God. I love him so much. I am a subscriber to the theory of you get like the second best player on a super team. There's untapped. It's like the, like for all those Kentucky players who were under Calipari who like didn't do that well in college, but then always blew up. Obviously Booker being one of them is like, I love the second best player on a really good super team. I mean, so like those guys, like I was really into Igor Demon. Mm-hmm. But his shooting is so bad.
Yeah, it's rough.
So bad.
It's rough.
But there's actually a lot of dudes I like. Living in Maryland, like Derek Queen has like become the mayor of, I mean, really the governor of Maryland at this point.
He's a lot of fun. Yeah.
The problem is defensively, I know he's like a smart defender. He is so slow.
It's not what you want. He's got no breaks. Yeah.
If people are really watching, it's like there was a lot of buckets that he gave up because his guy would cut and he just wouldn't. It's not that he's like lacking effort. He's just like, he is so slow. But God, that like Michael Sweeney post game, I'm always right here in my heart. The Michael Sweeney, like just big bodied boy. So there's a lot of dudes I like in this draft. Obviously, though, like Cooper Flagg, the top dudes are really like so intriguing for me. I think like, can I ask you guys a question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Classically, we will say this is a 4-player draft, 5-player draft.
Yeah.
Even though we know that's not true. That's what the Nets thought when they traded Damian Lillard picks. Literally, Billy King came out and said, this is a like 3-player draft or whatever it was. And then Damian Lillard was the pick. They didn't get him, obviously. He went to. So what is the tier player draft that this is? Is it a 3 or 4-player draft in your mind? Or is it just a 2? It's really should be Flagg and Harper and Ace Bailey and Edgecombe, and they're not quite even of the Dylan Harper Flagg. Now, it's really like Flagg, 1 tier, Harper, another, and then is anyone with Harper is the question.
Yeah. I really like BJ Edgecombe. I think there's like some glaring things with his game that are just kind of weird. Like, why can't he finish at the rim? Like, what's going on with that? Yeah. But the athleticism is insane, and he's going to be an insane defender. And I think Jordi would love BJ. Yeah. I think that I would want him. I might even take him 3rd, honestly. Like, I'm just a big fan of him.
Yeah. I'm with you. He also went to Long Island Lutheran. I know he's from the Bahamas, but like that's a powerhouse outside of Brooklyn. I mean, it's in Long Island. So it's something he's the kind of guy I fall in love with. His assist numbers are better than, like I always look at assists. You always look at steals and blocks. You look at those like periphery, not that assists are periphery stats. You just look at those to be like, what are they doing outside of the scoring? And he's like 2 steals a game and 3.5 assists. Like those are like indicative of being a contributor outside of just being like a bucket getter.
Yeah.
And so I super like him. I think if they get into the top 3, you feel good. If they're not, you really have to make a big decision. Like you have to really, okay, is it like who intrigues you? Asa Newell is such a Sean Marks pick. Yeah. Even coming from Georgia like Nick Claxton did. It's just I don't. I just don't. It's hard for me to like get super pumped yet. But tons of talent. So
yeah, I just did a tankathon spin. And that's got the number one pick. So
wow,
send it into the office.
Just throwing that out there.
That's all. Let's just send it in right now.
Hey guys, I have a proposal. Here it is.
Who they're getting mocked? Is it Cooper?
They took Kasparis number one actually. So sorry.
Are you guys aware? Cooper Flag's pretty good at basketball. It's insane how good this guy is.
Mike, thank you for answering all of our Nets questions. Sure. But it's now time to play Andrew versus the Beat Nets edition. Now, Mike, I think you've played this before. I'm sure you have. I've come up with 8 questions about the Nets. You're going to give me a number between 1 and 8. It will correspond to a question. If you get it right, you'll get at least 2 points. If you get it wrong, Andrew will have a chance to steal for 1. So, to start us off,
I just want to say,
question.
We're all riding on Sam Vecini's coattails. I think when you guys do this with Vecini, it's the best. That is,
he gets really into it.
Must listen when you guys.
It's great.
You and Schlecht, you and Vecini had like a wild back and forth, like picking names. I forget what it was the last time he was on the show, and I was like,
yeah,
you guys are pulling names of like dudes that people don't even know are alive. It was absurd. So I'm gonna let everyone down, but I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
All right, so Mike, I just need a number between 1 and 8 to get us started.
6, the Nets draft position at the moment.
Great. As of today, how many Brooklyn Nets would qualify for regular season awards, having reached the 65-game minimum? Now, you get to choose who answers first. You can make Andrew answer first, and then you go higher or lower, or you can answer first, and Andrew goes higher or lower. If either of you get it exactly right, you do get a bonus point. So how many Brooklyn Nets, as of today, would qualify for regular season awards?
I'm going to make Andrew try to figure that out.
All right, Andrew.
I think I have an idea. I shouldn't count. I'm like counting my fingers. I'm like, that's dumb.
I think it's really low. I think it's like 4.
All right, Andrew's going to set the bar at 4.
That's such a good. That's like right. It's not above 4. Would you have said, Al, if it was right on the money?
No, I would not have.
Okay, I'll go under.
Going under. Well, Andrew, you did get within 1. Now, was it 5 or was it 3, Andrew? Correct answer was 3, which means Mike gets the points. He's off to a great start. Look at that.
Is it Keon Johnson, Zaire Williams, and who's, I don't know.
Yes.
Probably Jalen Wilson, right?
Yes.
Jalen Wilson. God, another. But he doesn't even. Yeah, he's in the dustbin right now. But yeah, this team's so bad, guys.
Oh no, it's Nick Claxton instead of Zaire.
Yeah, his like again sneaky. Oh, Zaire Williams, not the pick. Yeah,
no, he's
Nick
at 60
Claxton,
though. He might get there.
Sneaky bad season.
Yeah,
I'm really worried about his trade value. Okay,
Andrew, board is yours.
Number 1.
Question number 1. Andrew, who leads the Brooklyn Nets in total assists?
Okay.
Thing is, I know this answer, and I won't say anything.
That is a really hard question. It's going to be something really wacky.
Total assists for the Brooklyn Nets.
There's like a bold part of me that has an answer that I really want to say, but it feels, if it's wrong, it's really stupid.
Say it.
But I think I'm going to guess Ben Simmons.
That is correct.
Yes.
It is Ben Simmons.
Yes. The sneaky part is that people remember that he played on the team this year. It is absurd.
And enough games to still lead the team in assists. Okay, Mike, board is yours.
2.
Question number 2. Cam Johnson has attempted 408 3-pointers this season. Well, that was as of Wednesday night. In Nets franchise history, there have only been 12 other players to attempt at least 400 threes in a season, and we're going to name them all. So how this works, Mike's going to give me a name, then Andrew will give me a name, and we'll go back and forth till one of you stumbles. So you just have to give me a Brooklyn Net throughout franchise history that had a season where they took at least 400 threes. And to give you context, that's what Cam Johnson has done this season.
Okay.
Okay.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, no. Mike, no.
Can I name like 12 other people?
No. Why did you go with Kevin Durant? Didn't he barely play?
I know.
Let's see how many he had. Let's see if you were even in the realm.
Because I have other names
close.
that I was like, Kevin Durant definitely did, and then I have like my special ones that.
The most he had was 300. He had 321 22. So he's about 100 short.
Can I tell you, it was not Ben Simmons.
That's true.
So Joe Harris.
Andrew. Oh, wait. You're done. You're done. Mike, you said
Don't
Kevin
say
Durant. All right, Andrew, you just have to name one person to get the point.
D'Lo?
Oh, that's
D'Angelo
honorable.
Russell. That is correct.
That's an honorable way to go about
the
it.
other name. Okay, you said Joe Harris. That's correct. Want to throw out some other names?
Please.
Just for fun.
Bridges?
Bridges, yes. Mikal Bridges.
Okay.
Alan Crabb?
Okay. Yes, Alan Crabb. Great pull.
Did Vince do
Mike,
it?
what are you doing right now? Are you writing down these names?
Yeah. I'm a visual learner. Yeah.
Vince?
Well, do you have any contributions?
I don't think Vince.
Vince Carter did. Andrew, congratulations.
No, I don't, because like all the names, like I want to say James Harden, but he also didn't play basketball.
Why is that the only Nets team you can think of?
No, I'm just saying these are guys. I'm just saying these are guys. I think my hang up is I don't understand the concept of 400 3-pointers. I think I really should just do the math and just be like, it's not like I can figure that out. But
Joe Harris?
Yeah, Joe Harris was one.
Joe Harris. I said Joe Harris.
I'll name the other guys. D. Will, Kerry Kittles, Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Johnson, Royce O'Neal, Patty Mills, and Taurean Prince.
Wow.
Patty Mills.
Those are your names.
Patty Mills. I don't think I could have pulled that. Wow.
So, Andrew, board is yours. You're up by 1.
3.
The Nets currently have the 28th ranked offense per Cleaning the Glass. The last time they had an offense ranked that low was the 2016-17 season. Who were the top 2 leading scorers for the Nets that season? Total points, you get 1 point per correct answer.
Oh my gosh. Total points.
Leading scorers for the 2016-17 Nets. Top 2 leading scorers.
That's got to be Brooke Lopez. Has got to be one of them.
That is correct for 1 point.
Whoever this other one is, I just have no idea.
Do you want to just throw a name out there?
What about like Karis LeVert? I think he was on the team then. I don't know.
That's a name, but unfortunately that is wrong. Karis LeVert was on the team though. Congratulations on that. Mike, any chance you know this? Second leading scorer, the 2016-17 Nets.
I have a funny answer.
It might be right.
Sean Kilpatrick.
Right. It is Sean Kilpatrick. That is correct. Wow, that was great.
I talked a lot about Sean Kilpatrick. A lot.
Man, I've not thought of that name in so long.
Bomb the rest of this trivia, and that alone, that like proves that you are a huge Nets fan. The fact that you could get Sean Kilpatrick.
I mean, he was a thing. Okay, 8.
Okay, question number 8. Question number 8. Oh, this is a fun one.
Darren Williams' number. Yeah.
There are 5 major regular season awards in the NBA: MVP, Sixth Man of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and Most Improved Player.
Yep.
The last time a Brooklyn Net won one of those awards, which award was it?
Oh, that's good. I think it's Sixth Man.
That is incorrect. Andrew, you have a chance to steal 1 point.
I do not know the answers to this.
Well, you can just pick an award. You have a 1 in 4 shot.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm not. I just said that to make it seem it was obvious, and it's not.
Ooh. Psychological warfare.
Ooh.
Looking it up.
I don't know. Honestly,
Something like
I do not remember who this would have been.
You don't have to give me a name. Just give me the award, Andrew.
I know. I'm just trying to think. Of what the award would even be. I don't know. Depoy. I don't think that's right. What is it?
That is not right. You have to go. Mike, do you know it? Or were you?
I was wrong already.
Okay.
Again.
You have to go all the way back to the 1990-91 season, the last time a Brooklyn Net won one of these awards. And it was Rookie of the Year, and it was Derek Coleman. That's how far back you have to go for
That's
some
a
hardware.
really good question.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. I started going through them, couldn't find any Nets. In fact, Nets haven't won a lot of these awards at all. Like, never been a Net.
Yeah, it's been a good franchise.
Andrew, you have controlled the board. 3 questions to go. 1 point.
Number 4.
Question number 4. Jalen Wilson leads the Brooklyn Nets in total minutes played while averaging fewer than 13 points per game. There are 6 players in the NBA who also lead their team in total minutes played while averaging fewer than 13 points per game. Can you name 2 of them? And you get 1 point per correct answer.
Oh my God.
So they have to lead their team in total minutes played, but they have to score fewer than 13 points per game.
That is some talent. Shoot. That is tough. Because I'm like trying to like roll through some of these teams and like figuring out who that is. Like it's got to be some weird circumstances like the Nets. What about the Sixers?
Well, you got to tell me the player, Andrew. No
oh my
freebies
gosh,
here.
I got to tell the player.
Yeah.
I think Kelly Oubre may have played the most minutes for them.
So, Andrew, that part is correct. Unfortunately, he is averaging 15 points per game, so it is not the correct answer. Mike, you could steal 2 points here. You could steal 2 of them.
Misi?
Yes!
Yes!
Easy, Misi.
Nice
wow,
one.
Nice pull. Can you get another one?
It's Misi.
Gafford.
No, you had the right idea, though. The Mavs, Spencer Dinwiddie is one of the answers. The other answers, Bub Carrington, Contavious Caldwell-Pope. That one makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Tumani Kamara for the Blazers. And the one I thought Andrew might get, Chris Paul, CP3.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we have 2 questions left, and we have a tie game.
Oh,
now, Mike, you get to choose question number 5 or question number 7.
7.
Question number 7. This former All-Star was drafted by the Nets, but was immediately sold to the Sixers so that the Nets could pay for Summer League and buy a copy machine. Who was it? All right. See,
Bobby Marks told the story on The Glue Guys, which he's told like in 1,000 places. But yeah, that's the easiest.
I figured that would be easy.
They also paid for
Andrew, would you have known that?
I don't think I would have guessed that correctly.
I think they also paved part of the road in front of the practice facility with the funds.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, Kyle Korver was traded for a copy machine.
See, you should do a question like that now. Would you rather have a paved road and a copy machine or this Nets player?
Ben Simmons. It's pretty easy.
Ben Simmons.
Andrew, this brings us to the final question.
Okay.
And you have to get the question right to send it into overtime. Okay.
Okay.
There are 3 players that have had a 30-point game as a Brooklyn Net this season. Can you name all 3?
Oh boy. Okay. as a Brooklyn Net is an interesting qualifier.
As a Brooklyn Net.
Gosh.
There's some obvious candidates here. And some not so obvious candidates here.
Oh, and actually, I'm just realizing this is 1 point per correct answer. So if you theoretically did get all three, you could win the game.
Oh, shoot.
This is corrupt. This is corrupt.
This is
Will
corrupt.
you get all three, though?
Okay, Cam Johnson.
That is one.
God, there's some guys that I just like don't. That it feels like they'd be on the edge of doing that. There's so many guys that I feel like have probably scored 20 on this team that have not scored 30. Shoot. Did Dennis Schroeder do it?
Dennis Schroeder did do it. Now, the game is currently tied. If Andrew gets the final name, he will win the week. However, if he doesn't get it right, Mike will have a chance to steal and win the week.
I know the answer, just so you're aware.
Ooh.
I think that I know the answer too.
You don't. You don't know it.
Because I did a podcast with Dave DeFore the night that this happened, and it was so weird.
You don't
when
know.
it happened. It was so weird when it happened. There's a YouTube short on it on our channel.
Oh my god!
And I think it was that he scored 30 because he hit like just a ton of threes and no one knew who he was. And I believe it's Tyrese Martin.
Andrew, that is correct.
Yes.
You have won the week with a Tyrese Martin pull.
Yes. That feels really good to get the Tyrese Martin.
It's a brutal way
most absurd
to lose.
That game was, that was one of the highlights of the season, obviously.
Yeah.
I actually think you're missing someone, my friend.
Oh, really?
Oh, who? Wait,
Cam
really?
Thomas.
Oh.
I mean,
it would make sense.
Of course.
He definitely, I'm looking at now his game logs, but that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Wait a second. If he did, he did do it?
100%.
I mean, he's had to have done it multiple
He's had like
times,
5
right?
30-point games, yeah.
How did he not pop up when I searched on StatHead?
I think he's had.
Yeah,
he's probably had a 40-point game, right?
Yeah.
Well, wait a second.
Yeah.
That means that Mike has tied it up, sending us into overtime.
No!
It's a party.
Overtime. Unless you guys find another name, and then that person would win for that.
The funny
reason.
thing is, I didn't really remember Tyrese Martin, and then when you said that he came out of nowhere, I was like, oh, Tyrese Martin. Fuck.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, Cam. Yeah, Cam Thomas. Yeah, he did. I looked at it, but
he had to have.
Okay, so we're gonna do. Well, we can't do career 3-pointers since we already basically did that question. I'm just looking for a good question for you guys where we can go back and forth. How about, in honor of Jalen Wilson leading the team in minutes, let's do the top 10 franchise history for minutes played. Okay, so since Mike is our guest, Mike, you can go first, and then Andrew will go. We'll go back and forth. So total minutes played, franchise history.
Brooke Lopez.
Brooke Lopez is number 3. Over to Andrew.
Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd is number 2. Back to Mike.
Walt Williams.
Walt Williams. No. Walt Williams. Andrew, can you give me one more name? Walt Williams.
What about Kerry Kittles?
Yes. Kerry Kittle's number 5.
Did you say Walt Williams?
Why did you say?
Why did you say Walt Williams?
Yeah. Did he even play for the Nets? I know he played for the Nets, but it doesn't matter.
Well, wait, did he?
Didn't he? Am I thinking of the wrong Williams?
I'm looking at a guy named Walt Williams, a.k.a. the Wizard, who played
thinking
from...
of Buck Williams?
Yeah, you were thinking of Buck Williams, who is number 1.
Buck
yeah,
Williams,
unfortunately, you said a guy who has never played for the Brooklyn Nets.
You know what? Guys, it's feast or famine with me, folks.
Now, hold on a
Feast or
second.
famine.
I was going to go check because Buck sounds like a nickname.
Yeah.
But it looks like Buck Williams' first name is Charles. Okay. Charles Linwood. So I couldn't give it to you for that.
And Buck Williams went to Maryland. You know what and I think I should have. So did Walt Williams, which is what is my problem.
Oh, interesting.
They both went to Maryland, but there's no excuse.
No, that's a pretty good excuse.
No, it's no excuse.
That's a pretty good excuse.
The funny thing is, like, I got the number one. Like, I knew Williams was the number one guy.
That's correct.
You know, some people
if you had just said Williams, I might have had to give it to you.
I'm such a dummy.
Williams.
The other names: Richard Jefferson.
Yep.
Chris Morris, Bill Melchioni, Vince Carter, Billy Paltz, and Mike Gaminsky.
There are so many names I've never heard before that you're saying to me right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Mike Smeltz. I wish that I could direct people to the Glue Guys pod, but I can't. Anything that you want to plug before you go?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Mike Smeltz, for joining the Slam and Jam pod.
All right, Andrew, that was Nets week, and what a week it was. Congrats to the Nets, 2-2. Let's see who our Wheel Phantom team for next week is going to be. And I know I say this every week, but there are so many good teams that are in the midst of playoff seeding battles right now. We got Milwaukee on there, Minnesota, Golden State, Sacramento trying to hold on to the last spot.
Yep.
Let's see who the Wheel is going to give us this week. This week's Wheel of Phantom team will be, the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
Talked about Deni Avdija earlier.
Yeah.
This not the worst. You know, maybe something crazy will happen and they'll still have a shot at the play-in. They did win last night, so who knows?
Hey, listen, the Wheel is trying to grab these teams before the playoffs because it knows. Listen, we're not talking about these teams anymore. So it is grabbing all these teams that we won't talk about a whole lot down the stretch. Hey, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. Don't have any to read this week, but we would really, really appreciate it if you'd leave us a 5-star review and mention Slam and Jam on it. Also, go take that review, theathletic.com/athletic/survey25. We would very much appreciate that. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy the basketball, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.